Good evening. My name is Eric Smith, and I love QuickBooks. I have a lot of fun doing a lot of different things on its applications, and I hope to show you through a video series how much fun QuickBooks can be and getting it up and running fairly quickly so that you can see some various situations on how to handle them and get the accounting done proper so that you know what you're doing and how you're doing it when you need to do it. So what we're going to do today is create a landscaping company, Smith's Landscaping, and go through this process of starting something up from scratch and start looking at some situations in the various videos that will follow. So let's create a company. Let's start getting that out. So we're going to hit create a company, and we're going to do the express start by hitting the blue button. And we're going to have Smith's Landscaping Company Incorporated. Now, I'm not actually going to put an industry. You can use landscaping lawn care, but one of the things that I find is that the QuickBooks default chart of accounts isn't quite as good as just going through Excel and creating what you need for a customized system. So, business type, we're going to put none. And let's just put that landscaping back into other and none. That way, QuickBooks won't pre-populate the account. So, hopefully I don't use the right number of characters. Let's just use 50 Main Street, Old Town, Maine, 04468, country, and then, we'll use a phone number, 827-1000. So let's create a company by hitting the blue. So now it's going to go through the process of creating a new company. And, it takes maybe 15 seconds to, 45 seconds. Depends on your computer screen. So this is kind of basic dry stuff. But this is going to let us get a company up and running so I can start showing you some very interesting ways of using the software as well as some very tricky situations on how to record. So we're going to use this company that we create to get where we want to be. So, usually with this QuickBooks setup, you can hit Start Working or hit the X. Let's go through some of the preferences and get QuickBooks where it needs to be. So, I like to get the home screen on Macs, see where we are. Looks pretty convoluted when you start seeing sales orders and estimates and time and payroll. So since we're going to just do a Smith's Landscaping Company, it's a pretty simple service company. So what we're going to first do is we're going to go to Preferences, go through what we need to do for proper company setup. First thing I like to do is I like account numbers. It's very easy to associate a number and an account rather than have 2 to 3 supplies accounts using the same name. This way we have account numbers as a delineator, and we're going to have require accounts. We're not going to turn class tracking on yet. We will at some point. Assigned journal entry looks good. The warnings, I like to turn them off, but they're probably pretty good things to have. Biggest thing is, set a closing date. This way at, 12/30, at the end of the year, you can kind of lock down the books so that, a user can't kind of go back in and, get things kind of screwed up. So let's hit save. Desktop view, kind of looking things over. Things look pretty good. The thing on the company preferences is this is where we want to turn off things like estimates, sales orders, payroll, time tracking, and we don't really want to do a lot of sales receipts because we're going to be using the invoices. So let's kind of go through and get our desktop kind of cleaned up. That's the biggest thing that we want to do. No, we're not going to create estimates. We're going to go back into preferences, and let's go into what we're doing, sales orders, and let's turn those off. Let's get into company preferences. Let's turn off payroll. No payroll. There we are. Go back to desktop view. Kind of go through time tracking. Let's get this thing off. And this is going to show you some real, real good. Getting the preferences set up here. Let's go back to the home screen and see how much nicer this looks. This is how a business should operate. This is, you enter your bills, you pay your bills. You create your invoices, you receive your payments, you put your deposit. It's so much cleaner, it's so much easier to work with when you have far fewer, icons trying to worry about the process. This way you understand the core of the business, that you have inflows and you have outflows. So now, thing I want to do is kind of show you, where we are, vendors. We don't have any vendors in here, and we don't have any customers either, and we don't have any chart of accounts, and we don't really have any items lists. And a lot of these things, I left it kind of from scratch because we're going to import this stuff from Excel, and I kind of want to walk you through that so that you get kind of a good understanding of some of the various ways. You could use third-party applications. You could use QuickBooks internal, import from Excel. But, with this video, I just want to get things up and running. So I'm going to use a process called import from an IF file. And one of the things that I want to kind of show you is a good resource, a good website here that will allow you to understand the tags. Especially if you export one first, then you can kind of start figuring out what it means. It's kind of a little bit advanced, but the Intuit interchange format, which is short for IF, is really kind of an unstable format, but it's going to let us get up and running pretty fast for, our purposes. So, I just kind of copied the tags for creating an account, kind of put them on the right, and I want to kind of talk to you about, a chart of accounts and kind of how these things kind of get set up for, a landscaping company. So one of the things that I want to emphasize is that there's something called the balance sheet and income statement. And, we're going to see that with the creation of the accounts through Excel. What I've done is created using account numbers, a series from 4,000 for revenues, a series from 5,000 for expenses, and kind of show you, a little bit of QuickBooks internal, mechanism for creating a parent and a sub account, which you'll see with equipment and the colon between depreciation. The colon is the delineator between a parent and a sub, so that by using the parent and the sub account, it's going to import properly. So it's, you could type all this information out, but one of the things I kind of find is I like to whiteboard what this thing looks like in Excel, and then just kind of be able to dump it into the program, as a blank slate and what we use. So this is one of the things that, I've looked at, different landscaping companies. We're just going to have generally a lawn mowing, landscaping, insect grub service, flowers, construction, with bad debts, so that we're going to use that as a contra revenue account against our income. So now when we get into expenses, one of the things that I see with businesses is they don't really understand what cost of goods sold is, and they don't really understand what general, selling, and administrative expenses are. So I want to make a clear differentiation between cost of goods sold and admin, in general, expenses. Cost of goods sold is the things that directly relate to the production of the income. It's something that, is not an actual direct expense. It's not a supporting service like, as you see, professional costs. So a lot of the vehicle costs, a lot of the consumables, a lot of the materials, the gas, the oils, the repairs, interest on, we'll say, the garage or the primary building that, houses the equipment, wages that you pay, your employees, your contractors, your taxes. All that information is going to be in the in this listing, as you see here. So, again, the top half is cost of goods sold. The bottom half is the supporting services. So again, the advertising, depreciation on office, interest on office, internet, office rents, office repairs, supplies, taxes. Those are the 6,000 series. So if you kind of can envision from a cost accounting perspective, or think of your tax return, you have stuff that is directly related to your business under cost of goods sold, and you have general expenses which fall under the office category. So, down below, we're going to get started with bank account, receivables, equipment, accounts payable, building, shareholder equity, and distributions. So basically, one of the things is I like to just do this in Excel, kind of gets things where they need to be, and we're going to go through the process of getting this information uploaded into the accounts in QuickBooks. And I'm going to show you how to do that now. So I've already taken the step of pre-coding the account types to match the IF tags, which you can see here on the on the side of the screen, and these are the account numbers. So it's just going to be a nice copy and paste. I don't really like the IF files too much, but they do serve a purpose. So if we kind of go over here, you're going to see that I've taken the step of getting the information for the accounts. So just by getting it moved over here with the coding, you can get this coding just by exporting a chart of accounts file into Notepad and then moving it over to Excel, and then you have what you need for the importing. It's pretty slick. It's not exactly the easiest thing, but it's something I want to do to kind of get us started, fast and easy, so we can start looking at some accounting situations. So let's kind of go through the process. You're going to grab all of the information in here for the coding. We're going to go to the desktop. If you hit the Windows and the D simultaneously, you'll get you right there. We're going to open up this IF file. I exported that thing from QuickBooks. We're going to delete it. I'm going to paste this thing in here. Going to give it the old save. We're going to close up QuickBooks. One thing that's a good idea to do is close all windows. A lot of times you leave them open, or it's not really good practice. So here we go. Go into File, Utilities, Import IIF, Chart of Accounts. Data is imported properly. Looks good. Go to Chart of Accounts. Good. Good. I had to make a couple of corrections, but everything looks pretty good. We got our sub accounts.